special dispensation. So I was glad of that, and yeah, we'll do what we need to do. Thank you very much. So we don't need the break, actually.
Hi. Oh, thank you. Do you want to? I think the RE rug is in the back. Do you want to go sit back there?
Okay. We went to see Don Carlos in HD yesterday.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It was brilliant.
Good.
I've never seen
I've
that.
seen some photos from it, but I've not seen it.
Very fine singing,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's not exactly a laugher.
Yeah. Eric Owens is in it, right?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he was the king.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was quite a bass.
yeah.
Matthew Polenzani sang the tenor. No, it was quite, but the damping's 5 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Including the intermissions.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's Susan's slowly educating me about opera.
Well, there's a lot to know.
Yeah, I see you're conducting from Marble City.
I am indeed.
Yeah, because I'm the current chair of the board at Long End.
Oh, well, yes, that's right.
So that's this is a new opera.
It is. It was filmed. There's an opera company in Arizona that did it, and they did a film version that I have not seen. But I guess this is the first stage production.
Well, they're board chair.
Just a reminder, you're on the air.
I'm on the air.
You are on the air.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you don't have to shut up. Just be mindful.
Don't say anything embarrassing.
Don't say good luck.
Not that I heard.
We need more lights on.
We were talking about opera. We were talking about opera.
I just wanted to remind you.
Nobody should sit up. Nobody should come up here. Nobody should sit up. Thank you. Anybody who can reduce
Good morning, welcome. My name is Ryan McBee, and I'm the president of the board here at TVUC. As you may have seen in an email announcement, the board has revised the safety protocol to allow presenters to remove their masks, but we're still asking that everyone in the building please leave theirs in place so that our presenters can remove their masks. And we're still asking everyone to be a part of our safety team. We invite you to remind each other of good safety protocols and be respectful of other people's need for distance, which can obviously be different for different individuals. We'll continue to offer spaces throughout the church on Sundays for people who want to attend but may not be comfortable sitting in the sanctuary. You can go to the Lizzie Crozer French Room, or I think that it's listed in the program where the locations are. And thank you for being here, and thank you for caring about your neighbors. And I think Lillian's going to announce about the rummage sale.
Well, it's rummage time. I would tell you to get your Marie Kondo on, but I think you did that 2 years ago. And probably like us have attics and garages groaning with stuff to bring. The rummage sale will be May 1 through 6. Starting on May 1 after the church service, we will put up the chairs, start putting out tables. We're going to need a lot of help that afternoon because people will start bringing rummage that day. Rummage will be accepted until 9 a.m. on Friday morning because we're going to start selling at 4. I think 4. We're trying to negotiate those times. Then the next morning, we'll start at 9 o'clock. It's an all-hands-on-deck event. We're going to need the help of everybody in the church. The church will be open from about 8:30 until 8 in the morning, 8:30 at night. I plan to be here almost all that time. For those of you who are working, if you want to come by after work and help sort and price, that would be wonderful. We're going to need a lot of people to sort, put out merchandise and price it, people to help unload cars. We will rent a U-Haul trailer to help out if you have a truck. Bring it on. Kitchen help is needed to keep our volunteers fed. This year, we're making it very plain, we will not accept dirty or broken items. If you wouldn't give it to your daughter, don't bring it. We will not accept broken appliances, exercise equipment, or electronics. If it doesn't work, throw it away. We've had to sort through dirty boxes and throw away things in the past, and I know we're going to have a lot of stuff coming in this year, so be thoughtful of your friends working this sale. If you don't want to purchase items and feel like your house is full and just want to help, you can donate money to the church, to the Rummage Fund, and designated for the Rummage Fund. It will be able to support families from Family Promise or the Bridge Refugee Center, and we'll use those donations to help families purchase stuff at the rummage sale. That has been very successful in the past, and we've had some very thrilled families leaving here with what they need to help furnish their apartments. So this has been very successful. You can always donate food, money for food, because it takes a lot to keep this bunch fed. If you can work, I would appreciate your emailing me at lmashburn@utk.edu. We'll have that in the printed information going out this week. And let me know if you can help and when you can help. That would be greatly appreciated. And thank you.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to be here before you in my home church, which I have deeply missed standing at this pulpit, looking at the beautiful faces, masked or unmasked. Come, beloveds, come with your pains, with your joyous noise. Come with your embodied love. Embodied love. What does it even mean? We embody love. Sometimes we fall short, and that's okay. We are the love and the breath of our ancestors. We are their dreams. There is room for you at the table, at the altar today, as we explore together what it means to be embodied love. In the words of Bell Hooks, love is a combination of care, commitment, knowledge, responsibility, respect, and trust. Living simply makes loving simple. Knowing how to be in solidarity, in solitary, is central to the art of loving. When we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means for escape. So come, beloveds, let us worship together this morning.
It's Good morning. It is good to be together today. Those of us who are here in the sanctuary, and those who are watching from home or from the Lizzie Crozier French Room or from Room A, it is good to be gathered in all the ways that we are. So I have a story to share this morning that is adapted from a story written by Alice McLaren called The Mountain That Loved a Bird. How many of us have ever been to a mountain before? Some of us been to a mountain. Now this story begins with a mountain that probably is not very much like the mountains that many of us have been to, because this was a mountain that stood all alone. It was bare rock, and it was surrounded by a desert. And it was so dry that nothing was growing on the mountain at all. And there were no creatures that lived there either, because they had nothing to survive on. How many of you have ever felt lonely before? This mountain was very lonely. But then one day, it felt something it had never felt before. A creature had flown in across the desert and had landed on a rocky ledge. And the mountain said, "Oh, what are you? I've never seen anything like you before." And the creature said, "I am a bird. My name is Joy. And every year I fly from where I started, which is a forest with lots of green trees and all kinds of things, but I fly far away to look for the best place to build my nest and raise my children. And so I've come here to rest." And the mountain was so overjoyed to have somebody to talk to, and the bird began to sing. And the mountain had never heard such a beautiful sound before. And the mountain said, "Well, can't you build your nest here? Can't you stay?" And Joy said, "No, I cannot stay. There is nothing for me to eat here. I have to go after I have rested." And how do you think the mountain felt when Joy said that? The mountain was really sad and said, "Isn't there any way you could stay?" And the bird said, "No, I cannot. In fact, I can rest here for a few hours and then I must go. But I'll tell you what, no mountain has ever cared whether I stayed or left before. And so every year in the spring, when I am looking for where to build my nest, I will come here and I will greet you and I will stay for a few hours before I leave." And the bird thought a little more and said, "You know, there's something that you should know, and that is that birds' lifetimes are much, much shorter than a mountain's. And so even if I came every spring of my life, it would not be very many years before my visits would stop. So I'll tell you what I will do. I will name one of my daughters Joy, and I will teach her how to get here. And so every year, you will have somebody who comes to greet you." And that is what happened. For years upon years, every spring, for one day, Joy arrived and said to the mountain, "I am Joy, and I have come to greet you." And she sang for a few hours while she rested, and then she flew away again. And the mountain loved when Joy came to visit, but it did not love when Joy had to leave. Have any of you ever felt sad about something ending or somebody leaving? And eventually, it became so hard for the mountain when Joy left that deep down inside, its rocky heart began to break. And tears began to flow. And they burst out as a stream that flowed down the mountain. And the next year when Joy arrived and said, "I am Joy and I have come to greet you," the mountain was so deep in its sorrow that it could not speak or respond. But as usual, Joy sang, rested for a few hours, and then left. The next year when Joy arrived, she came as usual, but something was different. She came carrying something in her beak. And it was a seed, which she tucked into a crevice near the stream that flowed before she sang and then flew away again. The next year she did the same, only the first seed by now, what had it done? It had begun to grow. Every year after that, Joy arrived and said, "I have come to greet you," deposited one more seed in a spot near the stream, and over time, the mountain began to turn green. And things began to grow. And after a while, creatures began to come and were able to live at the mountain. And after a while, the roots that grew down the mountain began to feel that life beginning to grow. And those tears of sorrow began to turn into tears of happiness. And then one day, when it was time for Joy to return, she came, but she was carrying not a seed in her beak, but a small twig, which she flew and set down on the branch of the tree that had grown from the first seed that had been planted, where she would build her nest. And she sang to the mountain, "I am Joy, and I have come to stay." And that is our story for this morning. And now, our leaders and learners who wish to head out to our RE space for this morning are going to head with me over to the fellowship hall. Thank you.
Love be enfleshed. Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make a profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh.
Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is sometimes erotic, asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and floats and feeds and creates. Love is risky.
Love challenges systemic evil in all its forms. Love is simple, but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals.
Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it.
It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. It only sets free.
Joy.
Joy.
We heard the story about joy, and we know how it grows and it's passionate, and we heard about love. So I want to hear another joy and love this time. Joy and love. This is great. Well, good news. I want to say the one joy is that today we have Roddy, who will bring us in the Black church. He's going to bring us the word today. So I'm so happy to have him here today. Though I have two pieces of sad news. First, Cindy and Ken Moffitt lost their father, or her father, and you'll find in the newsletter all the information regarding visiting and the memorial and things that will happen. So if you see them or you know them, give them a call. And also, this is a surprise. This happened first thing this morning. Claudia and Russell lost Russell's mother, Judy Dern. So that is a fresh grief that's brand new. So if you have an opportunity, give Claudia a hug. and express that we are with her. And we are with Cindy and Ken. So no one stands alone here. I'd like to take this time, and instead of praying, I would ask, I'm going to put David on the spot. I would like you just to play some quiet music, because I need to hear more of you playing. And I would ask everyone to be quiet and to think and to meditate, because you may not join us on Wednesday mornings, but being quiet and hearing gorgeous music really calms the soul and the heart. So if you don't mind, David, just a little bit. Thank you. Amen.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Jametta, for that gift of joy and meditation, and for all of us being here. My name is Claudia Presley, and I'm the Director of Finance and Administration here. Part of my job is to explain what our Sunday offering is. Today is a Generosity Offering Sunday. What that means is that 100% of any gift that you give that is not marked as a pledge goes to the general operating offering or the general operating fund of TVUUC. There's several ways that you can give, whether you are here in the sanctuary or if you're watching at home. One of the ways, if you're here in the building, there are baskets on either side of the chancel railing. You can drop your checks or cash in there. If you are in the building, there is a kiosk that is in the lobby where you can enter your debit or credit card information and give that way. If you are online, you can text give, or let me rephrase that. If you are online or in the building, no matter where you are, you can text give to the number 73256, type in TVUUC, and the amount that you would like to give. You can also give through your Realm account online. If you do not have a Realm account, contact the church office and we'll be able to help you get set up with that. So once again, thank you for giving generously to our general operating fund today. Thanks.
The composer for this offertory's music is Elfrida Andre, and she was a Swedish composer. She got her first church job as an organist at the age of 16, and that I believe was 1857, so that's a very significant accomplishment of hers. And then she went on to become the music director of a cathedral. She was very active in fighting for women's equality one of her great accomplishments was ensuring that women would be allowed to take on jobs as telegraph operators in that new industry at the time. And this particular piece is a transcription of an a cappella choral piece, and the text of it describes the destruction and pain that comes from battle and promises that nature and music will provide a path from that pain to peace and eternal harmony.
Good morning. I think before I start, I'd like to see some smiles on your faces this morning. It just seems like everybody's kind of in a strange kind of mood here. And it should be a happy day because it's a beautiful day outside. And of course, this music is beautiful. And we're talking about love. So let me see some smiles on your faces. Okay, thank you. Okay. Love's the spirit of this church. We covenant to affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Layla Abram in 2013 wrote in the UU World magazine, "We're not in church to be with people who want to sing the same music, or rally for the same cause, or attend the same retreats. We are in church to learn to love better, and learning to love better can only happen when we love past our disappointments and return to a place of acceptance and affirmation. This is true in our personal lives, in our work lives, and in our church lives. It is a deep spiritual practice. What is embodied love? What is embodied we? This is a time to focus on what matters. Embodying love means staying with what are the contributions going to be to erase economic, environmental, racial, and disability justice struggles. This can happen in our immediate spaces in our home church, TVUUC. Firstly, I always believe that serving our youth, adults, and programs with love and care matters. Secondly, support and involvement with the community in working for the common good of people engages us in embodying love and we. Reverend Mark Morrison Reed, Unitarian minister, historian, and writer, states in a reading, the task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There is a connectedness or relationship discovered amid the particulars of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Recently, my youngest sister, who lives in Pensacola, she reminded me that when I was between the ages of 9 and 14, I was teaching my siblings and the kids in the neighborhood. I was always thinking of embodying we and love by encouraging others to learn and enjoy the basics. My junior high school teachers continued to instill in me to continue teaching, as I was often left in charge to write the assignments on the chalkboard and take the names of the disruptors. And I even took the name of my husband, Irvin Williams, one day, and he got sent to the office. That was when we were in the 7th grade. I continued to teach our children to think of embodying love and we. My daughter, Miss E. Alandra, co-moderator of the UUA, was interviewed on stage at GA 2019. The question posed to her was, when is a time that you felt the power of we in Unitarian Universalism? Alandra responded, I was raised up in a church that loved me the whole time. I had a minister who asked me what I needed to stay in my church and what I needed to feel that my church was still mine. Yolanda says, we as members must say to each other, what do you need for this church to be yours? And to listen to people when they say what they need, and it's nice to other people, maybe not do it, but do it in love and care. To fully embody we, you need to work in your homes, not just going somewhere else. We can all be optimistic, passionate, and intentional about loving, compassionate and giving to others, and enforcing justice. The radical militant speaker she was, as I taught her to stand up for justice and what is right, even though everybody may not be in favor. I say the idea of fellowship with others, being engaged in relationships, keeps us connected. We, as a family of members and friends, I challenge everyone to begin today to practice gratitude, empowering love and empowering we. Or, and above all, love yourself and take care of yourself. I believe the empowering of we, and we were manifested in my children, family, neighborhood, church, community, and other children I taught as an educator in the public school system, as I was taught from my ancestors. My daughter beautifully stated in the 2020 poem, We Are Worthy, no, you might not ever end up on someone's list somewhere, but you are on a list in someone's heart and mind. And if it's in how you move in the world so people can see by example, you are the embodiment of what we need. Thanks to all that are the embodiment not of productivity, but the embodiment of radical love, care, and sanctuary. It's time, embodiment, living one's values out loud. Let me every day live my values out loud. Let us every day live our values out loud. Embodying our values, not the productivity quotient, beyond productivity, past productivity, true embodiment life. Now, the Alliance put out a sign that many of us had out in our yards, and it's on the campus of TVUC now. It states it beautifully. We are all connected, stronger together, love's hands in the world, called to create justice, responsible for one another and the earth.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made the difference. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible. For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause. For each time that our greed has blinded us from the needs of others. For the selfishness that sets us apart and alone. For falling short on the admonitions of the Spirit. For losing sight of our unity. For those and so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness. As I said before, it is so wonderful to be here in this space once again. So embodied love. What does it even mean, embodied love? There is a great power in love. And when we embody that power, we transcend into new realms of being. Our breath becomes the embodied breath, the love of our ancestors. There is a great steadfast power in love, a great steadfast power that holds space for all to embrace, to seek, and to receive such love. Yet power without love, in the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., power without love is reckless and abusive. Power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love, correcting everything that stands against love. It goes without saying that we need love to guide us, to change the world, love to learn how to be human again in time, and love to hold ourselves accountable as well. This type of love, however, is not a love that can simply be named. It is not a love that we can simply write in a book somewhere. This type of love is a love which we must embody, a love which we must live out, a love which we must embrace, calling us forwards, pushing us deeper within ourselves, within our bones, to our being. A love that we must make known, not just by our words, but indeed by our actions, by our living and our being in this world. This is what the embodiment of love looks like. Being present in the moment, in our bodies, in our minds, and with our spirits. This presence overflowing out of our hands, out of our feet, out of our seats, and into the streets, onto the hearts and minds of others. This is love on fire. This is love that will change, that will heal and liberate the world and transform our living and the lives of others. This is also the kind of love that Jesus preached. Now, not the Jesus that we see hanging in many churches, but Jesus, a colored person in a time when it was not necessarily okay to be preaching and saying the things that Jesus said. And these are the words that Jesus, the type of love that Jesus preached before it became twisted by the hands of man who took it out of context. This is the kind of love, the kind of embodied love that we find in the book of Corinthians, where it is written that love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrong. A love which keeps no record of wrong. I can't even imagine that, but I like to. This, beloveds, is also the kind of love that is spoken of in the Gospel of John, speaking about servitude, enslavement, friendship, and love. Well, so too is it written, to journey this road with me, you must love each other in the same ways in which I have loved you. I no longer see you as a servant, but as a friend. A master does not share their hearts nor their plans with the servant. Yet I have shown you everything that I have. Two people come to mind in this moment. Of those who have shown me and perhaps everything they have. And maybe these individuals have shown you everything that they have as well. The two people that come to mind for me this morning are Alondria Williams and the Reverend Jametta Austin. During E's life, many of us knew them by many names and pronouns. I was introduced to Alondria as E or they. I first met Alondria right here in this building back in 2017, 2 weeks after becoming a member of TVUC. I joined the church about a month after meeting Alondria. And by March of 2017, I had been starting to speak from this pulpit when it was indeed on the other side of the sanctuary. So it is a little different standing here today, looking at where I once was and seeing this space, but nonetheless, this space is the embodiment of love. So in March of 2017, after speaking, E came up to me, and so did Gordon Gibson. And E looked at me and was like, you know, Roddy, when the hell are you going to seminary? And at that time, I looked at E and Gordon and was like, you know, I don't know what you're asking. In reality, it had been in my mind. And after the ordination of John Coffey, I called E and said, this is all your fault, and I love you for it. And the rest is history. So E lived a life that was indeed the embodiment of love, care, and sanctuary. An embodiment of love, care, and sanctuary that this sanctuary installed within her. And then, of course, there was the Reverend Jametta Austin, who first came to Knoxville, serving a church that was not this one. In a conversation I had with Jametta soon after she arrived here, we were getting ready to plan the one-year vigil for the tragic shooting at Post nightclub, a vigil that would be held at Crutch Park in downtown. And Jametta was asked to lead an interfaith prayer, to which she looked at those of us sitting around at a church board table and said, you know, I don't think I can do this. And our response was, and why not? Without missing a beat, Jametta replied, being a black woman in the South and worshiping God, I don't know if I can lead an interfaith prayer. And we assured Jametta that she could indeed do this. Resistant though she was, Jametta went to Crutch Park. When it came time for the interfaith prayer, again without missing a beat, she walked up to where the microphone was, removed her shoes, stood in the ground, and what came out of her mouth was indeed an interfaith prayer that was the embodiment of love that we so desperately needed. The words that Jametta spoke, there was no way that I could repeat, but she started like this. Standing in the ground, Jametta said, I stand here and ground myself to nature, to the person, to the vision, to God, who you may call something else. and then went on to deliver a powerful interfaith prayer. And afterwards, instead of reveling in the moment, instead of creating space, Jametta simply turned around and walked away, leaving those who had just witnessed this prayer struck by spirit, by God, by the divine, by something that perhaps they had never experienced, being that this was a visual for queer, LGBTQ, and transgender people. After the 1-year anniversary, where 49 angels joined the heavens. Jametta, thank you for being the embodiment of love. Elnora, thank you for instilling the belief of love in Alondria. And thank all of you for being that as well. For all who enter into this space, we are the embodiment of love, care, and sanctuary. This space, beloveds, is what it means to embody love. This space and our witness is that of embodied love, of justice, of care, of healing, of liberation and world transformations, grounded in rich theology that calls us to be accountable, to show up, to be that embodiment. This is what it means to be the embodiment of love. I leave you with this. The words of Alondria Williams from the same poem that her mother just read for us. It is time, embodiment time. The embodiment not of productivity, but the embodiment of radical love, care, and sanctuary. It is time, embodiment, living one's values out loud. Let me every day live my values out loud. Let us every day live our values out loud, embodying our values, not the productivity quotient, beyond productivity, past productivity, true embodiment, life.